Good evening to you all. My name is Stefanos Avramidis. I'm a sports journalist, a match commentator, and sports show presenter working for Cosmote TV Greece. And I am very happy to be the moderator of this next subject, Sustainability in Sports, Élan Béarnais Pau-Orthez, the token model. It's April Fool's Day here in Greece, the first day of the month, and I would be lying if I told you that I was fully aware and pretty familiar with the subject, even before I was asked to moderate this discussion. But I have to admit, after having done my homework, that I am pretty intrigued by the idea of combining a fan's love for his favorite team with such a modern and contemporary aspect as cryptocurrency, and not necessarily as a financial investment, but even more as a sentimental one. And I think that enough said concerning my views on the subject, and I would like to give the floor to our experts to enlighten us. Let's welcome Mr. Tom Huston, General Director, Élan Béarnais Pau-Orthez Basketball Club, Director of European Operations Counterpointe Sports Group. Hello, Mr. Huston. And Mr. Tom Kolokithas, Greek Chapter President of the VRARA Association. Mr. Huston, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Stefan, and good evening, everybody. Let me load my presentation for you here. So as Stefan pointed out, I am currently the general manager of the Élan Béarnais basketball team, and I'm also the managing director for Counterpointe Sport Group Europe. Just quickly regarding my background, I have spent some time in Athens. My first 2 years of working for UEFA Champions League. I was working in Athens with Panathinaikos and Olympiakos back in between 1998 and 2000. So I am familiar with a little part of your country. Okay, our project in France, Counterpointe Sports Group, is a venture capital company based in Seattle. And over the COVID period, we were looking for a basketball team to acquire in Europe as a proof of concept project. We have 3 strategic pillars, that is sustainable transformation, sport, and inclusive finance. Our reason for selecting Élan Béarnais is because of its brand history. It's the team that has won the 3rd most championships in French history, and because it has a national following, and it has not performed well over the last 10, 15 years. But if you go back far enough, it was a regular in European competition, and it was a regular in the top of the French table. Our strategy, in order to make this project successful, is really based on bringing some very new things into the sports world to diversify our revenue streams and to create a stronger connection to our community as a force for good. So I'm going to first talk about the inclusive finance piece, because I think that's the part that many of you will find very interesting. Everybody likes to talk about money first. You do not have to be a cryptocurrency or blockchain expert to be able to take advantage of this and understand this for your own organizations. Within the blockchain world, within the investment world, the word security means a licensed and regulated investment. A security token offering is exactly the same as purchasing a share of stock of a publicly traded company. It is a way to take a company public, or to take a portion of a company public, and offer ownership, actual equity ownership, for example, to your fans or to average investors all over the world. Now, this has been done for a few years very successfully in Asia and North America for other assets of value like real estate and art, where you can unlock trapped equity and cash flow and be able to bring operating capital into your organization. It is fully regulated by the financial authorities, and it's traded on a regulated exchange. So when you are the owner of a security token, you do not own a cryptocurrency. You own you own a piece of a company. So when we talk about that in connection with sports, the three most important populations or communities with any sports team in the world are its fans, its employees, and its players. Those three populations never have the opportunity to actually be an owner, or very, very rarely. With this approach, you're able to take the fan token model and put it on rocket fuel, because you can offer all of the benefits that fan tokens are promoting, voting, a voice in operations, preferred benefits like parking, discounts on tickets, first right to purchase for special events, special meetings with players, rights to travel with the team to away games. You can offer all of the benefits of a fan token, and at the same time, allow your fan base and average investors around the world to be able to participate in the increase in value of your entity over time. And if you should choose to issue dividends, for example, they can benefit by having dividends. And most importantly, because the shares are traded on a regulated exchange, you're liquid. If you want to exit your position, you can trade your shares, part of them, all of them. It takes an illiquid asset, which is a sports team, or for example, real estate, and allows you to be able to create exit strategies. For sports property owners, it very much allows you to bring operating capital into your business when needed. And obviously with COVID, it's quite a topic now for almost everybody. So we have spent the last 6 months working with the French regulators, the AMF in Paris, to become the first fully regulated security token offering ever in France. We will be the first ever security token offering for a professional sports team in the world. And our shares go on sale April 27th, which basically means that we are now bringing to the sports industry what has been done very successfully in real estate for the last 3 years. This is a game changer, because as we all know, the future of sports marketing is really about individual fan engagement. And how can you really connect with the individual? And there's no more deeper connection to a fan than allowing that fan to be on the capital table and be an owner. So that's really the summary of this property, of what we're doing on security tokens. The reason we bought the team was to showcase this. We presented this to the NBA 3 years ago, and they said, we like it. You're a little bit too fast for us. Go prove it somewhere else first. So now it's happening in France, and we now have the ability, and that's the purpose of Counterpointe Sports Group, to offer this service to help any team in any sport, anywhere in the world, to be able to do the security token offering. It's faster, more convenient, quicker, easier, less expensive. It's literally, the way to think about it is that you would be taking a portion of your business public. The other thing, if you want, because it's a smart digital contract, is that you can establish the rules. So if you decided, for example, that you wanted to only sell the economic interest, you can separate voting rights and control from economic interest. And that's up to each individual owner to decide how they might want to do that. Obviously, connecting NFTs to this is a no-brainer. And it opens up just a whole world of opportunities to connect with the younger fan base, and really to take advantage and to start monetizing your fan base that maybe is not in your domestic market around the world. So that's the summary of that part of the project. Now, how does that connect to sustainability? In order for the sports world in general to succeed, we have to find new and more important ways, more clever ways to be able to finance our activities, so that we can also play a stronger role in the community and be a leader in the community for issues that really matter. I have spent the last 10 years working with organizations such as the United Nations in connection with the private markets for investment capital, for impact investments. So how do we make changes that really matter in society? And this circle is absolutely the untapped strategic value of sport. Professional sport is one of the very, very few things that sits at the heartbeat of virtually every city in the world. It is one of the very few things that interacts with the government on a daily basis. It interacts with the business community on a daily basis. And most importantly, it is a passion-based form of communication to the people, which means that when you incorporate purpose into the way that you market and into the way that you operate, you are directly touching the heart of the fans that you rely on the most, which are the people that live within 100 to 200 kilometers of your stadium. And this is the core of our strategy in Po. So using security token offerings as a mechanism to not only allow the community to participate in the team, but also as a mechanism to fund our new real estate development project. We have this portion of land that's right next door to our stadium that currently is just an empty field. And we have the ability to build an entertainment complex, just like you see done in thousands of other cities around the world. But we didn't want to stop with just doing the entertainment complex. We wanted to be able to turn this into a national and international showcase of French and European innovation in forward-thinking, climate-positive technologies. So that means working with companies that are focused on the future of energy, companies that are focused on the future of waste, water, mobility, data, artificial intelligence, to create a micro community that is 5 to 10 years ahead of its time the day that we open. So it's operating on a business-to-business level very efficiently, because basketball is not football. The dollars or euros in basketball are not the same as they are in football. So we have to be creative and we have to diversify our revenues in order for the team to be able to achieve its sporting goals. And the only way to do that is to also find different ways to connect with the community so that we can make money when we're not playing basketball games. So with this second security token offering that we will be doing within the next 2 to 3 months, we will be doing a financing round that will allow the beginning part of the financing for this complex to come to life, which again, on the consumer level, is an entertainment complex. Indoor sports, music, sustainability, education center, hotel, restaurants and bars, the typical model, but with the sustainability theme added to it. In addition, we're doing some player housing and corporate housing across the street. So together, our complex represents something that we think from a recruiting point of view, from an attraction point of view, we'll be able to attract the best young athletes from all around the world that will want to come to our academy. And at the same time, we will be focused on dedicating the team's activities to promoting and marketing this climate park and the companies that are providing these technologies everywhere we go, when we travel across France and when we travel around the world. So it gets back to the key strategic power of sport for how you can leverage purpose and generate revenue at the same time, combined with a unique financing model. Together with the city, we're going to be doing a full sustainable renovation of our buildings, which is a case study for public owned buildings to be able to follow this model, to be able to achieve not only functional renovation, but also sustainable renovation, again, regarding energy and water and waste efficiencies. And we are not the only ones to do this. All of these ideas that I'm talking about have been done successfully in other parts of the world. We are just putting them together in one place to create a unique concept. Johan Cruyff Arena has had a similar strategy for the last 25 years on sustainability, not talking about digital currency or investments. And the brand new Seattle Climate Pledge Arena is the first arena in the world to be opened that is new and named after a sustainability topic and not after a company. Yes, it's backed by Amazon, but the theme is that we have to solve the climate problem and we have to solve it urgently. That's our project. I think I stayed within my 10 minutes. I hope I did. And looking forward to questions.
Questions will follow just after Mr. Tom Kolokithas' piece, Greek chapter president of the VRARA Association. Fan token, Mr. Kolokithas, seems to be the future. But what about metaverse?
Firstly, I'd like to say that we're seeing a big transition to this new era of digital fan engagement. As Tom said, all the rights holders and brands are now hitting fast forward to all these new ways to connect with supporters near and far, which for me it is very interesting. And making the connection to your question in terms of the metaverse. So the metaverse is actually developing as well. So this is a new concept. It's still a concept. We're trying to find out around the world, how it will develop eventually. But I believe what Tom presented could be something within the metaverse. So bridging the physical with the digital world. This is a way that Tom presented. And
you said it well, phygital.
Yeah, that's an old term. It's kind of replaced with the metaverse term, but I really would like to wish Tom good luck with his plan. I really would like to see happening in real life and be successful. I truly believe that you have something very good there. And I do have some questions to ask.
What about those questions then?
Right. So the first and most important is how hard is it to work with legislation matters on such a new concept with the government?
Well, it was actually surprising. We got through the process faster than we thought we would. We started by meeting with the Ministry of Economics and Finance, which actually sits above the financial regulatory body. And what we discovered is that in France, for example, they understand that the future of blockchain is going to have a fundamental impact on the banking industry in general, and that as a nation, they need to have a position and a credible strategy for how to handle it. Our project is the first project out of thousands that came across their desk that was based on assets of real world value. The team is real, it has value. The real estate is real, it has value. So they embraced the conversation with us as a strategic imperative for the country, which allowed us to accelerate the process. And then they handed us over to the regulators, and we worked with the regulators. It took us about 8 months from start to finish. But now that we have the first one done in Europe, we believe that obviously other countries and other markets, when the opportunity presents itself, will happen much faster.
Mr. Kolokithas, Tom, since we changed the flow of the discussion, and I'm saying that in a positive way, let me ask a question as well. Mr. Huston, what are your criteria as an organization? And I'm asking that because Pau-Orthez is a pretty successful team in European basketball. But is it about the team or is it about the market? And I'm saying that because Pau-Orthez is successful, but it's not a mega club like Barcelona, like Real Madrid, like Olympiacos or Panathinaikos in European basketball. And I was wondering, have you tried to access these clubs and they were not interested, or is it something else?
No, actually, literally, I think I touched on it briefly. Our first step was to actually go to the NBA and to present to them.
That's why I'm asking, because you said that you tried to implement your schedule in European basketball in order to go to the NBA in the future.
Not only the NBA, but everybody else as well. And yes, of course, we would love to work in European football and European ice hockey and everything else. So to directly answer your question, this works for any entity that has a large enough audience that would be interested in buying the shares. So if you have a big enough fan base the offering can be promoted to, then you can adopt this. And how much money you're able to raise is going to be based on what is the value of your organization. So in this case, this club it's a smaller club. It's not football money. So it has a smaller valuation, which means that we were able to put together an offering that would be attractive, not only to the sort of 60,000 or so people that consider themselves fans of the club, but more importantly, we're marketing it to fans of basketball all around the world. Because of the fact that they see that this is a game changer and it's groundbreaking and that it can lead to many other really interesting things. In addition to the fact that we have some basketball royalty as part of Counterpoint with people that come from the NBA, like Stu Jackson, who was the former deputy commissioner for 14 years. So we have a basketball credibility and expertise. Obviously, I come from football. We have other people in the organization that come from other sports, and of course the goal is to take this to to different teams and leagues. And at the end of the day, the only thing you need is a large enough fan base so you can sell the tokens based on how much money you want to raise. So we're targeting a 10 million euro raise for this club in Pau. If we can raise 10 million euros for this little basketball team in the southwest corner of France, we can raise money for anybody.
Mr. Kolokithas, please.
I cannot ask, what are your predictions for fan absorption in the near future?
Well, we've got already some really interesting developments with some fan groups that are wanting to be a part of this, that are already a global community of fans. And they see the vision, they see the future, and they're excited for us to do this for more basketball teams, for them to be able to be owners of a portfolio of basketball assets.
Beautiful.
We think we're going to quintuple the size of our fan base very quickly.
Yeah, I really hope so for you. I really would like to see that. I like your plan. And one more quick question. Are you going to, this is more of a personal question, are you going to affiliate your tokens with a cryptocurrency for a greater exchange abilities, like Ethereum or something?
Well, right now we're working with the platform called Securitize to offer the tokens, which means that if you wanted to buy shares using the crypto that you already own, Ethereum or Bitcoin or other, you can do that on Securitize. So you don't have to buy your shares with cash.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Mr. Huston, we have the first question from our audience. What was the initial reaction of the local community and your club's fan base when your plans were announced?
Well, interesting, mixed results. You know, there were a lot of press in France about American ownership of French sports teams. Now, we started working on this project really before COVID. And then interestingly, just as we were at the final moment of closing the deal, the Bordeaux King Street situation happened. And so that was difficult timing for us. But the overall feeling across the board, the general sentiment is that people are not looking at us as American investors. They're looking at us as people with NBA experience that are going to bring their beloved club back to the glory land of the top of the league and playing in Europe on a consistent basis again. Secondly, we're the first team to offer ownership to the fans. And what we've been saying from day one is that this is not our team. This is your team. This team belongs to the community. It belongs to you, the fan base, who have loved this team for most of your lives. And so that's why philosophically it was really important for us to open up the share capital for the fans, for the employees, and for the players, which we're offering shares in our player contracts as well. Our players are the first ones to ever be owners of the team they're playing for. Now, there are special rules around the players if they
What happens if they leave?
Exactly. There's special rules if they go play for another team that are special for the player. But if they stay with us long enough and it's an incentive to stay, then they're having a very attractive additional asset in their contracts.
I have another question from our audience. Assuming the success of your current program with Orthez, what is your goal for the club?
Our goal for the club in the first year is just to make the playoffs. Our goal within 3 years is to be consistently in the top of the French league and to establish ourselves as on an annual basis in pan-European competition. Right now we're in 4th place, so we're doing well on that. Mm-hmm. And we also just qualified for the French Cup final for the first time in 15 years. So the club is on a strong momentum right now. We're ahead of schedule.
In a scale from 1 to 10, how satisfied are you in terms of sports success, in terms of financial success, and in terms of social success concerning your relationship with the locals?
I don't want to give you an American answer. I want to give you an honest answer. So in terms of sporting success, we're extremely happy because, as I said, we're ahead of schedule. Yes, we're performing better than we thought we would this early into our ownership. Regarding the second point around financial, this is an investment and it's a long-term investment for us. So we don't expect to be suddenly making all of the money we could ever want overnight. We have a 3-year plan for building the financial base of the company and for the club, which includes the real estate project, and having that open is a major source of revenue for the team going forward. So what I will say there is that we are absolutely on track. We have secured the support of the local business community, and now we're working to really bring in a whole new portfolio of companies at the national level. because of the climate park concept. So we are right on track with where we wanted to be, financially. In terms of community support, we're still coming out of COVID. So our core fan base is absolutely still there. We've got a great fan base. I think, our building holds 7,500 people. We average around 4,000, maybe 4,500 per game. But we're still in the COVID effect. We're reaching out now to the university and to the younger community. Obviously, our project is consistent with going after a younger audience. And we're bringing fans back to the club. And winning obviously helps that. In the old days, people would travel 300 kilometers away from northern Spain, Bordeaux, and Toulouse to come and watch this team play. And we're slowly starting with the core community within 50 kilometers of the team. We're going to continually start expanding that circle to be able to get our fan base back to, to what it used to be, where we're sold out all the time. And we're right on track. So we're really happy so far.
Is Generation Z your target group, your main target group?
We have to serve the entire community. The role of the sports club, as I mentioned earlier, from a sustainability point of view, is to service everyone. So we have fans that are old or older that have been with the club for a very long time. We have fans that are now families that grew up with the club but are now parents. And then we have this younger generation. And it's our objective to create a product that targets each one of those three different stages of life so that we're creating a lifetime affiliation with the club going forward.
Mr. Kolokithas, I'm feeling that I have stolen your time.
Oh, not at all. But I was curious. I saw in your real estate project that you will be having an esports building, or at least what I saw in the slide. So would you believe that this particular concept could also apply in an esport team?
Well, going back to what you do, we are very much interested in the metaverse and creating our own virtual arena where we could sell theoretically an unlimited number of tickets around the world for people to come and watch our games with their virtual reality goggles on. And connected to that is, there's a huge and vibrant esport connection here. And thanks to blockchain and thanks to NFTs, the dynamic of gaming is changing so dramatically that you're starting to see the convergence, as you said, between the real world and the virtual world. And in order to survive going forward and not suffer from some of the things that Marshall Glickman was talking about in the previous call with declining fan base, if we don't embrace this, we're dead. So we believe, like you do, you've got to embrace the new digital era in terms of consumption. And at the end of the day, you have to stand for something. You've got to be solving a problem in the community and in people's lives in order for you to maintain that emotional connection. So you just don't have spectators, you have true fans that are following you when you're winning and when you're losing. So we have to entertain, we have to educate, we have to inspire, and we do that by being role models in all of the different parts of our philosophy, from open finance, to the types of products and services we offer, to just the way that we build a relationship with our community.
Mr. Kolokithas, I'm feeling that this is a question that you could answer as well. What about metaverse in basketball or in sports in general? Where are we?
I think, in my opinion, we're just scratching the surface. We are all experimenting and trying to see how the fans will react and consumers in general. But I would also agree with Tom that we are seeing that COVID has played a catalyst role to what technology is providing us and how we treat technology and how open we are right now to all these new concepts and how they are changing our lives as well in all the verticals like social, sports, economical, work, and all these factors. Nevertheless, I think that it will take a few years to see where we will end up. But I think it is very fun for the moment. I'm involved in very nice projects and very new concepts that I see people surprisingly adopting more than I do. all these new possibilities, and I really like that for the last 3 to 4 years now.
Mr. Huston, could you provide us with some numbers? Another question from the audience on the amount of people that have already purchased the security token?
The tokens haven't gone on sale yet, so they'll be going on sale the final week in April.
And what is your goal?
Well, our goal is obviously to sell out the full offering. And you know, if some people invest more, then we'll have a smaller number of shareholders. Right now, the offering is being done in four different levels. The opening level for fans is priced at about the price of a normal season ticket. So we're hoping to raise a total of 10 million euros. And so we'll see. I'll be able to answer that question in May.
Could you say that this is a project oriented to fans, basketball fans, or fans of the team who are not able to follow its games, maybe, or other things that happen around the team? People that are far away, maybe.
I mean, absolutely. You know,
and what happens with those who are in the area, in the region? Are they more difficult to be persuaded to follow?
No, look, if you live in the region, you know, you have the double benefit of not only being able to be an owner and have access to all of the digital offerings, you know, but you also have the ability to physically go see the team. If you're a fan around the world, then obviously you're able to.
Maybe that's enough for you.
It's enough.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's enough. It's enough. You know, look, I would love to be an owner personally of the San Francisco Giants baseball team. I'm from California originally. I live in Europe. I can't watch the games because they're played at 4 o'clock in the morning. We're asleep. But if I could be an owner, I would be all over that in a heartbeat. And I would be so proud to be an owner of the team that I supported my whole life as an American baseball player. You know, I would do that without even questioning. I'd pay anything, right? So it's the same concept in all sports. If you're a passionate fan, you give your money, you buy tickets, you buy the merchandise, you follow these guys anyhow. You know, look at what's happened in the valuation of sports teams over the lifespan of sport in the last several years, right? I mean, the value just keeps going up and up and up, and fans don't get to participate in that value.
Do you think that it will continue going up?
As long as we can avoid getting into unnecessary wars, then yes, the sports industry will continue to grow, I believe.
I have a question for you, Mr. Kolokithas, from our audience. What is the place of sport in the metaverse, and how can leagues or clubs utilize it?
I think it has a strong position. We're just expanding. What we know so far is just expanding with the metaverse. We will have new ways to watch our team, maybe from the eyes of the player, or sitting on the front row bench from our sofa. This is a few of the things that we see happening right now. Now with Tom, we see we can have ownership of our team, play a role into its operation, and you know, be proud of what the team we're supporting. We also see that there's a big expansion of esports. So sports is also expanding with a new form. Now we have a lot of people engaged in esports. So metaverse, somehow I believe it will put an umbrella all over this whole thing. But I really cannot explain how. I can only imagine concepts. And concepts like what Tom suggested today could be one of the things that we will see happening in the future.
Selling tickets in a virtual arena.
Well, I can give you a very concrete example. So the French government is actually adopting an esports strategy for how to change education in the country. You know, this is the first generation of children that are growing up that know how to actually educate themselves because they have all information available on the planet in their fingertips. So the traditional way of learning, traditional way of teaching is actually starting to decline in France. Kids are dropping out of school because they just don't see the benefit of sitting in a
Anything
classroom.
Traditional is starting to decline.
Correct. So France, from an education ministry point of view, is looking at esports as a way to gamify education, to keep kids in school, and also to create new types of partnerships between corporations that are looking for specific skill sets, because companies can't find the skills they need, and how you gamify that to be able to actually create new different types of career paths and new ways for people to enter into society and life. And we're doing it through esports. It's crazy, but it's happening.
I have to say, it sounds exciting.
Exactly.
And it's all too new to us, to our generation, I think.
Exactly.
But it's something that our children can understand and utilize much better than us. Another question: fan tokens in Europe, Mr. Huston, but not in NBA. Recently, Bucks CMO stated that they are ready and wait the green light from NBA. Will this change the industry? Will it be helpful also for European market?
You know, obviously, we are advocating for a different approach. You know, we believe that fan tokens, you know, are interesting right now, but they are in many cases not actually being bought by the fans. In many cases, fan tokens are being purchased by crypto speculators. And so we believe that our model of providing actual real ownership, plus the ability through the digital smart contract to provide all of the services that a fan token can offer, is a superior model. So I'm going to reserve judgment for who's going to win in this battle, because we're just getting started. But it's a very interesting space to keep an eye on going forward.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but your project seems much more feasible than the cryptocurrency project. Is this the main difference?
It could be. You know, what is the major? If you think about a fan token that trades on an exchange, you know, what are the things that have to happen in order for that fan token to go up in value? You know, Paris Saint-Germain signs Lionel Messi, fan token skyrockets. What happens when they trade him? You know, what happens when the team is losing? You know, at the end of the day, it still doesn't necessarily represent something of tangible value, right? And that's where we think the real deficiency is in that model.
A question for you, Mr. Kolokithas. Recently, the Brooklyn Nets did the test broadcast of how an NBA game would be broadcasted in the metaverse. Do you believe that this model will also be applied in Europe?
I believe that it was about this holographic broadcast. Yes, there's a lot of companies in Europe that are experimenting and having products with this type of technology, and I'm sure they're trying to sell them around to leagues with every country. So no wonder we will see definitely these things happening within the next 6 months to 1 year around here.
I can see that our discussion rotates around the differences or the similarities between NBA and European basketball in terms of tokens. Which of these two markets, Mr. Huston, do you think is ready more than the other to accept or capable to run this sort of model?
Look, I think fans are ready for something different. You know, the issue is working with the regulators. You know, if we were in a country, if we had an opportunity to work with a team in a country where the regulatory approval wasn't necessarily easy, we can always run this type of an offer through a country like Switzerland, for example, or even run it through the United States if we had to. We believe that there is such a demand, an unbelievable, massive demand for doing things differently. And it's across all sports in all countries in the world. And at the end of the day, it's basically just simply time to not have sport only controlled by a very, very select few group of extremely privileged individuals, and open it up to the fans. We think that's the future. So look, we think it's ready in any sport in any country right now today. We just need to do it. And that's why we bought this basketball team, to show that it's possible, because it's already been done for years in real estate and art. So it's just a logical next step for sport.
Have you no fear or no concern that mega clubs, as I mentioned earlier, like Barcelona, Real Madrid, if we talk about football, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Manchester City, would try to do something similar or even identical on their own without the help or an agreement with a corporation or an organization like yours?
Certainly more people are going to try this, and that's great, because the more people that do it, the more it becomes normal. And we believe we're in a first mover position. But if you take a look at what just happened with the recent Super League collapse, I mean, that forced Manchester United to actually open up part of their ownership to the fan base, and they chose to do it the traditional way. If they would have done that through a tokenization approach, the way that we're doing it, we would have been able to help them achieve the same result with regards to their fan base. We would have been able to do it for a lot less money than what they had to spend to do it the way they did, and in a lot less time. So yes, others are going to do it, and that's great, because we think this is the model, and we're one of the early leaders in the market that can provide the service. So the more the merrier. This is the way it should be going forward.
That's the laws of the free market, isn't it?
Yep.
Mr. Kolokithas, one closing statement, maybe?
I would like to say that I'm hoping to see more people and organizations doing what they're doing in a sustainable way. I believe that this is far most important in order to keep our sports healthy and alive. We need to have a healthy planet. And I really like that Tom and his team are doing it the right way, or at least this is what I understood.
I said earlier, Mr. Huston, that I was pretty intrigued after doing my homework. I'm even more now, having heard what you have just said. And I would like to ask you also a closing statement for our discussion.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and thank you for your remarks. I really appreciate it. I have been a lifetime supporter and passionate believer in the power of sport for good, not only in my life as an individual who just loved to play games, but also in terms of what it does for the community. Sport strategically can do much more, actually, than it currently does, and can be a force for even more good, especially in the current situation that we are in the world, and bringing new financial models to make that possible so that the engine can continue to run for all sports, not only the sports that enjoy the mega contracts from television broadcast and the mega sponsorships, but even at the lower level, like what we're doing, with this little team in France. So it's really just because of the love of sport and its power to do good in the world that is really driving us and motivating us every day. And we're all very lucky to be able to work in the sports business, guys. Just never forget that.
You can say that again. Thank you very much, both. It was very nice to meet you. And I hope we could meet in person in the future. Thank you very much, both.
Thank you very much. Kalai Nikta.